Well, indeed, it's a year since the unfortunate events unfolded in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, where we saw a trail of destruction, people going about vandalizing property, doing all sort of things following the arrest, of course, of former President Jacob Zuma. We are indeed continuing with this broadcast as we reflect on that unfortunate year, which was 2021, and also look ahead in terms of what lessons can be learned as we busy unpack this topic. Let us now welcome our next guest, Umama Precious Lukayeni, who's going to give us a bit of some analysis in terms of course, the event which unfolded on the year 2021 in July. Mam Lukayeni, thank you very much for your time. Perhaps the first question should be, what sort of lessons should South Africans learn from, this tragic event which basically shocked the world even?
Thank you, Simpiwe. It's so difficult to say what should we learn and who should learn what, because this was such a big thing for the province, in particular for these two provinces, KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. I think what people should learn, community people, is that to vandalize or damage what is in our communities is dangerous for us, because whatever is in our communities services us. It may not be ours, but it services us. As we stand here with you, we are in front of a mall in KwaMashu, the Bridge City. You can see they're still building here, and the people who use this mall may be suffering because they have to go to malls that are far away from here. Another thing that we should learn as a country is that government should be ready for such incidences. And that is why when you ask what have we learned, it's very difficult to say what have we learned, because if we have to learn anything from the incidents of last year, we should have learned from the previous disruptions or violence things, because these service delivery protests become very violent and disruptive. We should have learned from those, because we have more of those things. In the past 20 years in South Africa, there's been there's been an increase in protests, which we should have learned from. So I don't know whether this one will be different from those. And this one also requires our law enforcement agencies to be ready, because we know, as I said, that these things tend to be violent and very disruptive, because there was a threat anyway that if the former president is jailed, then there will be some protests. But it doesn't look like the law enforcement agencies were ready.
Let's talk about the role of government, Mam Lukayeni. When you look at these events, earlier on we were having a discussion with a business person who was saying that he's still scared, basically, to be operating in a community where anything is basically possible. Would you say that government has done enough in terms of ensuring that there is that sense of hope, if one may put it that way?
I think we can't stand here and say the government has not done anything. The government may have done something, but there's no guarantee that what happened in July last year will not happen again. The reason why I don't want to stand here and sound like a prophet of doom, the reason why I say that is because I've not heard anything that tells me, as a resident of this province, how that happened and why did that happen. And so because we don't know why and how it happened, it may happen again, unless we know for certain that this is the reason and we're going to deal with this reason. Of course, various people give various reasons, like the anger of the people for poverty and other things. That protest didn't start like a service delivery protest. It started as a protest against the jailing of the former president. But it was hijacked by criminals and opportunists. because we can't say only the poor people were looting because they wanted food. There were people who were taking big appliances. They came with big cars and those kinds of things. So those are the people who hijacked maybe the plight of the poor people.
Of course, we heard from our government officials when this unfolded. They were referring to it as an insurrection, some even saying that there are instigators who basically caused this. What is your view on that?
Well, I don't know how many instigators are there and who are those people. If they are instigators, by now we should know who those people are. I think the government has not done enough to inform us as to who instigated that, how did they instigate that, and when did the government know that there was such an instigation. In other words, if the government knew that, or if the government didn't know that there was a group of people instigating people to do what they did last year, it means our intelligence is poor, because the government ought to have known if they are instigators. And I don't even know how that happened. I must say, really, I don't know who those people are, where are they now, what is happening with them, and then the government has not taken us to confidence as to who those people are.
Seemingly, looking at where we are, Mamlu Kaeni, it's going to take a while, if one may put it that way, for the country, for the province, for these provinces in particular, the two, KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, to rebuild, looking at the trail of destruction that is still very much visible.
It's going to take a while. And remember, the destruction took place in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, and those are economic hubs of South Africa. They contribute a lot to the GDP. You destroy these provinces, you destroy almost the South African economy. You recall that the first thing that happened during this protest last year was the banning of trucks in the N3. So those trucks were delivering goods between Gauteng or between various provinces and KwaZulu-Natal. So when you destroy that kind of infrastructure, you're not only destroying the province, but you are crippling the economy of South Africa, which is already in trouble. So we didn't need that kind of trouble because we were already in trouble at that time.
Some have obviously, attributed these events to the infighting within the African National Congress, which is the governing party. What is your view on that?
Well, I can. That was not the party thing. If you looked at what happened, we can't say here this was the ANC. There were people who were unhappy about the jailing of the former president. So we can't say this was the ANC. Of course, those infightings might have played a role, but which role we don't know.
Thank you very much. Well, there was Mam Precious Lukaeni giving us a bit of an analysis in terms of this anniversary of the July unrest, which took place in the year 2021, as we mark 1 year since the country lost about 350, lives, and the trail of destruction costing billions of rands to the country's, economy. As you can see in our visuals, the damage is still very much visible. Businesses have not really, been able to or reopen as a result of the destruction that they suffered. We did earlier on speak to, one of the business owners who was affected by this, saying that it's going to take some time for the country to really, rebuild and get back to normal. But with that, it's back to Johannesburg, and let's go for a quick break before Morning Live continues.